Welcome back for another video. Bench boost active and a pretty good wildcard last game week. 69 points all out, quite a lot of positives to take from that. Brighton's clean sheet, very fortunate. 2 goals ruled offside for Burnley there. 9-pointer from Verbruggen, his second biggest score of the season. Gross with a fantastic assist that game as well, who did come into the wildcard in preparation for his double. And since he had Burnley, it felt like he was worth a go and he got the assist, so I'll take that. Palmer hit Defcon, which was a pleasant surprise, though he did blank otherwise. Bruno also finished on 4 points with the captaincy, 8 points from him. He got an assist and a booking. O'Reilly's 14-pointer thanks to a goal, a clean sheet and a couple of bonus points, though now he's a doubt for the double game week. I'll talk about the plan with him in a minute. But actually the highlight was opting for Thiago in the wildcard, despite no double game week 33. The alternative choice I considered was Calvert-Lewin, and it's obviously still too early to call it a success because DCL's got a double next, but an 11-point head start, so to speak, is fantastic. Despite a good wildcard, unbelievably in my case it actually resulted in fewer points solely because of Mukiele. I already had some players that did well like Thiago and O'Reilly. The late decision to activate it was basically because of a few concerns. There were a few players' minutes like Ekitike and Mbeumo, mainly Ekitike. They were both benched, and the other reason I thought about wildcarding later was to target the Palace double game week, but a little bit of a loss in confidence in delaying the wildcard since they're very likely to progress in Europa now. I might even end up with no Palace assets by the time we get to that double game week now. It's hard to gauge which chip strategy will be better now because obviously completely different paths. The bench boost is active now, whereas it would have been the free hit active this week, and obviously I would have been fielding a weaker blank game week 34 team, but then wildcarding in 35 before bench boosting in 36 with triple Palace. Honestly, I think both strategies are likely to do well. Anyway, let's have a look at your best and worst submissions from last game week. Here for FPL activated his wildcard, but he forgot to start the right keeper and says, lovely bench, I managed to forget to switch the playing keeper on my wildcard. He benched Verbruggen's 9 points, but he also had Scott's 12 points on the bench there, 26 points benched, ouch. This next one is actually crazy, so Kapish Kapal says, I'd planned to wildcard, but I missed the Friday deadline and got 82 points, can't complain. So they still had Haaland, Raya and Gabriel on the bench from last blank game week, which remarkably worked out, 82 points all out from missing the deadline. Jay Eaton did wildcard and absolutely smashed it, 87 points all out, with Verbruggen, O'Reilly, Cherky, Thiago, Bowen all in the starting 11. And he said, decent wildcard, I just need to decide on either Calvert-Lewin or João Pedro in for Bowen. If O'Reilly's out, then still worth the hit for Nunes with the rank I've gained this week. Martin wins disaster of the week, 35 points all out. He had blanks from 8 of his 11 players in the starting 11. Plus he had Nunes, Wirtz and Van Dijk on the bench for a 23-point bench. Hope you can bounce back in the double. So let's move on to the bench boost team for Game Week 33. In goal, 3.9 mil Dalo comes into the starting 11. Leeds were really impressive at Old Trafford despite missing the likes of Rodon and Stack. That said, they actually haven't lost a game that Rodon hasn't started this season, and in Stack's case as well, they've only lost 1 of the 6 they didn't play in at all. Farke's done a fantastic job. A win over Wolves next should be enough to secure another season in the Prem. Darlow had a really good game against United as well, which was a relief, because Perry has been fantastic in the FA Cup recently, but it's definitely Darlow's spot to lose in the league. So it's a 4-4-2, and the back line is Strike, Van Heck, O'Reilly and Hill. So if we pull up double game week 33 clean sheet odds from my app, Leeds have been given a 42% chance against Wolves and a 16% chance against Bournemouth in the second game. I've calculated the combined odds for all the double game week teams for you here, so in other words, the probability of them keeping at least 1 clean sheet. It's not as simple as adding 2 percentages together if that's not obvious, because obviously if they were 50% in both games, that doesn't mean they've got a 100% chance of a clean sheet. Anyway, Man City's combined odds is 65% to keep at least 1 clean sheet. Leeds are second with a 52% chance. Now that's the equivalent of a fixture like Arsenal home to Burnley, which does show the potential there, plus the extra appearance points. And then it's Brighton 39%, Bournemouth 38%, Chelsea 37%, and then Burnley 19%. Which Leeds defender is best is very up for debate. I've seen some good arguments made for every player in that back line. I opted for a strike on the wildcard given that he feels the most nailed, but they're probably all safe for the double game week. Van Heck has got a fairly tricky double. I would feel quite fortunate if I come away with a clean sheet here. Though obviously with a centre back like Van Heck, there's always that reasonable chance of getting DEFCON. He's averaged 8.76 per 90, which is a little bit lower compared to many other centre backs, but a 37% hit rate over the season is solid. I saw a really interesting graphic from Rob T. So he tracked Hill and Senesi's rolling 5 game week rate of DEFCONs since Hill came into the team, so they're DEFCONs per 90. Hill's 5 game week rolling average has only been behind Senesi twice. They're both great, obviously, both fantastic picks, and both could do great. I've got a call to make this week on buying Senesi, or I could go for a third Leeds defender or even roll. I'll talk more about that in a second, and obviously likewise my O'Reilly thoughts. So the midfield is Palmer, Gross, Semenyo and Tavernier. Palmer vice captain. Despite Chelsea's form as of late, my gut feeling is they'll still do well in this double game week. 2 wins or maybe a win and a draw. I was looking at potential plans coming out of the double and the blank, and there is the choice to sell Palmer and one of those cheap defenders for Sarr and Munoz in double game week 36. Have any of you looked at that? It does look pretty good, especially since Palmer has got Liverpool away in game week 36 when Palace are likely double him. Though I do quite like Palmer's final 2 games. He's got Spurs home and then Sunderland away, so I might actually skip Palace assets entirely. Semenyo is probably a season keeper as well. It's good to finally own him, given how much of a rank killer he was for a long time when I didn't own him. He was around 70% owned at my rank last game week, and rightly so. He's been absolutely class this season, and he's settled in immediately at City. I won't be surprised if he's 9 or 10 million next season. I'm wondering if Pep might rotate slightly for that Burnley game, given they do have the FA Cup next weekend as well. Hopefully O'Reilly, Semenyo and Haaland survive if he does. I don't want to say the quiet part out loud, but maybe Marmoush gets a start, and whether that's in place of Haaland or not, we'll have to see. For what it's worth, I'm predicting a Haaland start, with maybe an early sub if the game's looking wrapped up. Tavernier faces a Newcastle side in absolutely dire form. That's 3 losses on the bounce in all comps for Newcastle. And if we look at the last 6 league games, Newcastle are second worst in the league, only to Burnley who are worst for expected goals conceded, 11.35 XGC. Bournemouth actually third worst, though they're a bit of a weird one. They're very hot and cold. Their data is incredible in home games, but terrible away. However, look at Brighton and Leeds over the last 6 there, 3rd and 4th best over the last 6 game weeks. As a reminder, Scout are giving away 3 weeks premium membership right now free, so you can access all the data tables that I use in my videos and all the other benefits. So 3 weeks basically covers you for double game week 33, blank game week 34 and game week 35. s.id/FPLFocal. I'll link it down below if you want to take advantage of that freebie. Got quite lucky on the wildcard with my low team value because I really wanted Matoma for the wildcard, but I couldn't quite afford him, so I opted for Gross instead. Obviously it's never a bad thing to have a nailed player in your team anyway. Sometimes the unglamorous, less flashy picks in FPL are just truly the best ones. And up front it's Haaland and João Pedro. I'm going Haaland captain, of course. I think it's closer than the odds suggest in terms of Haaland versus Palmer, but I'm more confident in Chelsea turning around this double than I think most are. I do think long term Rosenior's gone though, and I just don't think he's the right fit for Chelsea. Especially when you compare, the tune Maresca got out of Chelsea compared to now. And it felt like Maresca was yet to get the best out of them, they were playing better, and he still won silverware. I'm likely to retain João Pedro for the season as well. I just think at this late stage in the season, even if his form doesn't really improve at all at this stage, if he was to re-find it and I sell him, then it'd be an absolute killer. So yeah, I think João Pedro is in for the run-in. So the benches for Verbruggen, Thiago, Gabriel and Bruno. 1 free transfer, 0.2 mil in the bank. My bench has got 3 single game week players. Now Thiago and Bruno I don't mind so much. Gabriel away at Man City is not great, especially given City's form and Arsenal's terrible form, and obviously Arsenal having to also play in the Champions League midweek while City get a rest. So the obvious thing to do is to sell Gabriel. However, I'm finding that really difficult as a call to make because I would want to get Gabriel straight back in realistically. I just don't like the idea of going without the best defender in the game for long, so it'd have to be a transfer and then a transfer back in. So 2 transfers just on that. Arsenal's defence, and Gabriel's especially, is just way too high to go without for me. So yeah, as I say, that's 2 booked in transfers if I do it. And that does have a knock-on effect to Palace's double game week, and it could actually mean that I don't own a single Palace asset for their double game week. Maybe that won't matter, but maybe Palace could smash it, like they have done before in double game weeks. With only 1 free transfer, Selling Gabriel also means that I would need nothing else to go wrong for the run-in because I'm booking in moves already. And let's be honest, it nearly always goes wrong in FPL. Like, let's say someone that I needed to start in Game Week 35 gets injured this game week or in Game Week 34. I'm already booking a Gabriel back in transfer, so then it's a -4 hit. Or I'm having to sacrifice making one of those transfers. Gabriel's got Fulham home in Game Week 35, he's got West Ham away in 36, and he's got Burnley in 37. I'm going to sit on this one a bit longer as there's still a few days till the deadline. My current plan is Gabriel to Beale. Now, Beale's been largely fantastic for Leeds, and after a win at Old Trafford, he could even play the rest of the season nailed on. He looks safe for the double. My only concern with him was Game Week 35, when they've got Burnley home. However, even if I was to buy Beale, in Game Week 35 he is actually still benchable, because I'd have a back three of Strike, O'Reilly and Gabriel. So, just to run through the potential rest of season plan on Plan FPL. This game week, if it's Beale in, that gets me to 13 doublers. In Game Week 34 I'll free hit, so I'll skip over that. In Game Week 35, Gabriel comes back in, possibly for Strike for money reasons. Game Week 36 is the really difficult week, so I'd probably actually roll here, and obviously that's not the best. I'd have no Palace players for their predicted double Game Week 36, and a couple of fixtures that aren't the best in my starting 11. Game Week 37, perhaps it'd have to be something like Gross to Dewsbury Hall. He's got Sunderland home, and that frees up money for Thiago to Bowen in Game Week 38, who's got Leeds home. Thiago's got Liverpool away in 38, so I quite like that switch to get Bowen in for Leeds home. I might have to do something like Van Heck to Esteve as a second transfer to fund it, although he does have Wolves home, so I could actually start him there, to be honest. So yeah, I might have to find 0.1 million somewhere. It might be that, might be something else to afford the Bowen move. So yeah, it's just whether I want to stick with Gabriel and keep my options open a little bit more for the Palace double, or I commit to Beale now with a pretty good double game week. And let's be honest, it's a better double game week than Palace's later, if Palace's goes in 36, given that one of the games is Man City. I've not been able to find a way that I could do both, since basically I'd get to Game Week 36 with one free transfer if I buy Gabriel back, and then I think the only option would be like Van Heck to Richards. I think that's all that would be on the cards if I want a slice of Palace's double. So yeah, the more I think about it, it's like, if I can go one or the other, which one would I rather have? A Leeds defender now for a pretty good double, or probably a Palace defender in 36 for a worse double? So yeah, the plan is Gabriel to Beale as it stands. So just on O'Reilly, so he was spotted in the background of some kind of recovery session, so maybe that's a breadcrumb. I don't know if we're going to get an honest answer from Pep. You know, he's just scored a brace against Arsenal in the League Cup final, so even if he was fine, I just don't expect anything honest from Pep. Let's say hypothetically he was ruled out, then I'll skip all other planned transfers and just do O'Reilly to Gahey. Hit subscribe, and thank you as always for watching and subscribing. I'm going to be chatting to the current world #1 Eric tomorrow. He's pulled about 30 points clear top of the world, plus the experts video will come tomorrow as well. See you soon for the next one.